both sides of the conversation family. We welcome you to this virtual space crafted especially for you. My name is Jada Curry, and I'm both sides of the conversation's marketing director and graphics design specialist. I want to take some time to ground us all as a community into this space we are about to open up in, so let's go through our community standards. Both sides of the conversation is providing a safe and honest space for open conversation, so we ask that you all be respectful of that. We also ask that you be respectful of each panelist, host, and participant. We do encourage healthy debates and conversations. Don't personalize anything with anyone. This includes name-calling, bullying, trolling, or shaming. This will not be allowed or tolerated. Your perspective is yours. It is not a prescription. You do not have to agree, but show respect. These community standards apply to all of our live shows and any virtual spaces that we hold on social media, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We want to make sure that we are caring for each other as a community. This is our priority in all of our endeavors as both sides of the conversation. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's show and continue to stay in touch with us via YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or all of them. All right, thank you for listening and see you soon.
Welcome, everybody, to both sides of the conversation. I'm John Henry, Executive Director. Today is Thursday, so you know what that means. We're going to have another Educational Thursday presentation. Today, we're going to have some presenters that have been here, coming back. Cynthia and Sean, they always educating our community, bringing awareness about financial literacy. As you all know, here at both sides of the conversation, as we have promised, for the new year, 2022, we coming all new, giving out information. And this year, we focus on our health, mental health, and financial literacy throughout the year. So you're going to see more than normal presentations of financial literacy, health, and mental health wellness, because that's our commitment to the community this year. There'll be a host of other shows and topics that we'll be doing, but we really will be focusing on financial stability and mental health, because those are the two major things that's impacting our communities right now. As you all see, the gas prices are going out the roof. I don't know what it is. It seems like every time I go to the gas station every day, it goes up another few cents. So I'm just like, I don't know when is it going to stop. But when you go to the grocery stores, the amount of cost, the increase this fast, it's just some numbers that we have never seen. I went to the grocery store the day and I almost threw all my food away because it was just like, come on, $300, $400 for nothing. But again, you know, that's why we're here. But today our presenters, Cynthia's here. Sean's not going to be here tonight. And, you know, usually they're a duo team, but tonight Cynthia will be holding down the fort for Sean. And I'm sure we'll have a great presentation coming from her, talking about building our futures for our youth. When we could talk about saving for college and different things of that nature. Very, very important. As scholarships are going down, there's not a lot of extra discretionary funds in families. So learning how to save, put up money early for our young folks to make sure that they get a head start when it comes to their college education is very important. We don't want our community just waiting on scholarships. We want our community to be intentional about saving money for our young babies, so as they get up into the age of high school and graduate, that they get a fair opportunity not to start off with a bunch of debt, and they could get the education or whatever trade or whatever community arts or whatever they're going to do for their future, that they get that head start. So with that being said, we're going to get into a couple of the announcements, some of the news stuff that's going on in community. Also, we have our co-host, Tony Rochelle, here. We'll bring her up, and she'll be asking questions and stuff and helping out tonight. Just want to say, first of all, you know, I'm so thankful for our both sides of the conversation team. You know, community, this has been a long week of events. Juneteenth, the kickoff up until Father's Day into the Juneteenth event. And then yesterday, what a phenomenal event. You know, I want to acknowledge, you know, Mo Magic and Collective Impact and a number of other community organizations that came together to put off the summer youth kickoff. I mean, it was a great event to see 1,000 kids out at the City Hall Plaza. There was jumpers, there was food, there was food trucks. There was a lot of organizations out there connecting with community folks, connecting with the community families. Very powerful event, and just great to see our young folks are actually getting the opportunity to kick off their year, their summer, with events, fun, food, and they had a great time. And it was just like a great event. And a number of other community organizations have been getting kids to Raging Waters, getting our young folks out. As you all know, this pandemic has kept a lot of our young folks locked up in the house for the past 2 years. So it's nice to see those park and rec events, the number of community organizations finding ways to get our young people out of the city into different environments, taking them out to enjoy life. As we all know, part of that mental health and that healing is to just be out around people and having a good time. So shout out to those organization leaders. Want to give a huge shout out to Mo Magic, to Brittany Ford, and to Uncle Stank, Jay Spangola over at Collective Impact. I want to give a shout out to Nate Ford, Raiden Ross, a number of the community organizations that came through for that event. Huge event, great success. Thanks to the Public Defender's Office and Dean Preston, supervisor over in District 5, showing up. The OMI showed up. Both sides of the conversation was there. A number of folks just out in community, enjoying our young people, what we should be doing, praising, uplifting our young folks, and giving them opportunity to do things that they normally wouldn't do coming out of this pandemic. So huge shout out to them. And then as we start kicking off our class of 2022 graduates, we started off with 2 phenomenal young folks on Tuesday night on our hidden gem. And as we start booking the rest of these folks, you guys need to really pay attention. Come on and uplift our young folks. We have some phenomenal young folks who graduated out of middle school, graduated out of high school, graduated out of college, and are doing some phenomenal things for the community. And so many times, we hear the narrative that young Black kids, young brown kids are not excelling in the academic realm, and to see these young folks come on and, graduating with 4.0s and, doing amazing work within our school limits, we have to uplift and send them some praise. So just happy for our young folks. Again, shout out to the class of 2022, all of the class of 2022. Phenomenal young folks. They've been through things that a lot of us have never been through. I've never been through a pandemic, going through online school, living in the community that some of our young folks live in, overcoming the violence, overcoming the substance abuse, overcoming the homeless, and still graduating on top and honor. So, just want to salute those young folks in the class of 2022. With that being said, we're going to jump into some of the announcements and the world news that's going on, some of the community events, and then we're going to pass it over to Cynthia, who's going to brilliantly articulate and educate our community about saving for our future of our young folks. Excited about that. With that being said, New York Black leaders reacted to the Supreme Court striking down the state gun law. After the high court's decision, every single one of us and us feel less safe. As the mayor, Eric Adams, says, Black leaders in New York denounced the U.S. Supreme Court ruling today that struck down the Empire State law limiting the rights to carry firearms in public. So what that means in New York, more and more folks will be able to carry firearms. They won't be held to that 2 to 3 year prison sentence that those folks were getting before. I'm sure there's going to be a fight. There's going to be some kind of actions taken to try to repeal this. But as of now, the Supreme Court has voted it down. More and more folks are going to be in the city streets of New York carrying firearms as the Supreme Court has struck down that decision that New York had been upholding for a while. We'll continue to update you all as we get more information. A lot of talk around the country. There's a number of other states who passed laws to have no registration for concealed carry. So again, guns, more guns in the community. And we just hope that with some of the new gun legislation that they put in place, at least some of these registered gun owners will be responsible and at least have to be the right age and clear some of the background checks that they need to clear. So we'll see how it works out. But again, New York has been shut down by the Supreme Court on their gun ruling. Also, Brittany Gardner, She's going to be designated as an honorary WNBA All-Star starter, even though she's been detained in Russia. The basketball star legend has been detained in Russia since February, as her supporters are working hard to get her released. Despite being physically there 1,000 miles away, she will be on the WNBA All-Star team as a starter, honorary starter. And again, that story is still breaking, and different folks are trying to get her home safe. We hope she's doing well, and prayers for her family. But again, she is still jailed in Russia, and she will be honored as one of the honorary starters for the WNBA. Also, New York teacher sues parents, social justice group, after accusations of making students pick cotton. I don't know what's going on with this cotton thing, but we had it here in San Francisco. We've had it in the South. Now in New York, they are claiming that these teachers were teaching these kids how to pick cotton and things of that nature. And I think this is just, again, another conversation that we have to continue to have in this country about, when we think of things and how we are intentionally educating kids. Are we doing things on social media? We've been seeing more and more of these black faces. We've been seeing more and more of these propaganda social media things, having African-American kids say devilish things about themselves. So I don't know what's really going on, but I do want to have a conversation about it, because I think a lot of times people are poking fun or doing things that they claim are not intentional, but because of the pain, the trauma, and the things that folks have been through, I just think it's a conversation that we need to have. And we've had that happen here in the Bay Area as well, where these teachers are making these assignments and telling kids, this is what your ancestors had to do. This is what picking cotton is like. And I just, I get it, understand, one side of it is, hey, we're trying to educate kids. But I just think there's a time and a place for it. And I just think the way sometimes the information is being presented to our young folks in our educational realms, the way that these teachers and folks are going about it, just the wrong way. But again, it happens in New York, happened in the South, happened in the Bay Area. So again, community, it is time for us to get continuously engaged in our Board of Education, our school leaderships, our principals. We got to start really investing our time to see what's going on in our schools. Too many times we're just dropping our kids off, going to work, doing our thing, picking them up, and we're not involved. And these type of incidents happen in our community. And as community, as parents, we all have to do our job to be involved when these type of things are happening. Also, in Evanston, Illinois, they have selected the first group of Black residents to receive reparations after a decision to make cash payments. The Chicago suburb issued $25,000 payments, which must be used for home purchases, home improvements, or mortgage assistance. The first residents to receive these are going to have to use it for those programs. There's some pushback on it, but again, small steps. I think that's way short of what reparations would look like. And I hope here in San Francisco, we get it right. I know that the reparations meeting should be kicking back off on the 22nd. But again, to me, and this is me, my opinion, okay, I feel like that's a slap in the face and it's disrespectful to our ancestors, to what these cities, these states, this federal government, and these folks have done to our folks, right? The amount of free labor that this country has benefited off the backs of our ancestors. To say $25,000 and you have to use it for this and that, I think is a slap in the face of our ancestors. I take it as disrespect, right? And I know some people are going to say, well, John, is something. Again, I'll take the part of there was something, but I think it's just very disrespectful to our ancestors. And again, I hope here in San Francisco, I hope here in California, we get it right. The cost of inflation, the cost of living, $25,000 is you can hold it out the window and it'll blow away just like that. Again, for some folks, they're going to say, hey, that's better than nothing. It's going to help them. I get it. Again, to me, it is definitely a disrespectful slap in the face to my ancestors, to my people, and to the folks who have sweat, blood, tears to build this country up to what it is today. And for that type of reparations, I just feel like it is disrespectful. So I'm going to move on for that. Another conversation about reparations coming up later in the year. But again, there is some payments that went out. And again, something for nothing for some folks, and they'll take that. Also in the news today, the Baltimore Ravens linebacker Jaden Ferguson dies at 26 years old. His cause of death was not immediately reported. Hopefully, when the information come out, we'll be able to get that out to community. Just sad to see our young athletes. More and more of these young athletes are dying between the ages of 20 and 26 years old. I don't know if it's heat stroke, stress, anxiety, whatever it is. It just seems as a lot of our professional athletes are passing away suddenly for different things. And I don't know if it's just the overworkload of working out or what they're doing in their regiments. But again, another young athlete going down, being laid to rest. So our prayers out to him, his family, and to the Baltimore Ravens, another young fella who life is cut short. So again, prayers to the family. Also, Trump asked the DOJ to seize voting machines and appoint the special counsel for election fraud claims that the top officials told him were baseless. Again, you all know that this committee is going on. There's so much stuff that's coming out that is just terrible. Information that's going to the community, what took place. Some of the people are now stepping forward. Just terrible. It's a terrible day. Week has been, for America. It's just another black eye on the political system. What's going on? And again, community, folks, we're going to have to get involved, do our part civilly. But we have some issues with our lawmakers and folks in power. And again, community, is our job to hold them accountable. So with that being said, we're going to jump into a couple of community announcements and get into tonight's segment. For the first event, the Lake Fest is happening June 25th, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Lake Merritt. That should be a great event for community folks to go out and enjoy as we continue to celebrate just life, liberation after Juneteenth into the 4th of July holiday weekend. Definitely be safe out there and, go out and have a good time. We want to keep these type of events rolling in the Bay Area. Whenever there's violence and things happen, these type of events get shut down and we want to keep them rolling for community. So, hey, if you go out there, have a good time, you see some youngsters or some folks knocking around, acting around, talk to them and try to get them to chill out because, again, we want to keep these events for the summer for community. But, again, Lake Fest is happening June 25th, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Lake Merritt. Also, Family Day, July 8th is happening 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's going to be at the Mercy Heights Playground, 801 Shield Street in San Francisco. If you need more information, go to firstyouth at gmail.com. I'll get that information up. That's my brother Renaud over there, Monroe over there, and the OMI team. We'll get the flyer out on our social media handles today. We'll get our marketing team to push it out there, but that's an event that is coming up for our young folks. It's nice to have families come out and enjoy events. So shout out to the OMI, shout out to Brother Bernard Monroe for putting together another event that's going to impact community. And again, it's from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. There'll be plenty of food and things of that nature for community. Also, the SF Rebel Sports and STEM Camp is still going on. There are various sessions taking place through July 22nd at Gateway High School. Reach out to my guy, Nate Ford, at sfrebels1990@gmail for more details, and we'll connect y'all with Nate. Also, a live and free alumni, family, and friends barbecue is happening. There's going to be games, music, and food. August 6th, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's going to be at the Castro Valley Park, 1898 Lake Chabot Road. Should be a great event, a nice event for family and youth. Dr. Marshall, if you all know, was a mentor of mine. I also went through the Live and Free program. Y'all hear him on Cameo, on Street Soldiers. And this event happens every year. I think this is the 35th picnic. We'll be out there to support Brother Marshall and Jack and the Omega family, and to all my Omega brothers and sisters. Looking forward to seeing y'all, and hope you all have a great time at the lake. Also, the Invest Black and Youth Comedy and Awards Show is happening August 13th. We'll be there with our OMI folks. The tickets, I believe, are out. Somebody reached out to me and said, why do you keep announcing it? I can't get a ticket. I'm sorry. The date haven't came to take it off my production sheet yet. I've been telling folks for the last month to get their tickets, and I think they have officially sold out. So again, we'll try to be there. We'll try to get some live footage and get it back to the community and let y'all see what was going on for that event. With that being said, our both sides of the conversation announcement, we are still looking for volunteers ongoing. If that is you, you're looking for a way to give back to community, you want to connect with community, you see the work we're doing, you want to get out there and be a part of our young folks, the elders, you want to be out in community, you want to make a difference and give back, reach out to us. Go to our website, www.bsotc.org, or reach out to us at info@bsotc.org, and we'll make sure we connect you with the right folks and find out what type of skill sets or talents you have that you could bring to help impact our community as well. Also, if you would like to support both sides of the conversation financially, you could look us up and choose us as one of your charitable organizations on Amazon Smile. No extra cost to you, but Amazon will donate 0.5% of your purchases to help support our organization for the work that we're doing for the community. So go to Amazon Smile, choose both sides of the conversation as your charitable organization, and they'll make a small percentage of your purchases and send to us to help support our organization. Also, we have a GoFundMe pledge. We have different ways that you can support us. Go to our website, click the donate button, support us. We need the support to continue to do the work that we're doing to help impact community. And y'all know here at both sides of the conversation, we love the people. We love the community. Anything we could do to give back to help our people, that's what we're doing. So every dime you spend or donate is going to go back to the people of the community, because that's what we're about. We're trying to build this organization up, but we also trying to make sure that we have significant impact in our community. Also, if you want to follow us and learn more about what we're doing, please go to our website, sign up for our newsletter, go to any one of our social media handles at both sides of the conversation. Check us out on YouTube, subscribe. Anytime we go live, anytime we in the community, any events we go on, you can live check in, see what's going on. If you're on Facebook, check out our Facebook group, check out our Facebook page. It's always information going there to impact community, resources, events, things of that nature. So check out all of our social media handles. Also, if you would like to utilize some of the services that we provide to community organizations, or if you have events going on, reach out to us. And, we have our 360 booth that we could bring to your event. We also have our drone that we could use at our event to catch aerial footage of your event and things of that nature. Reach out to us. Call to get pricing, make a donation, and we'll come out to your event, bring our team, and we'll set up and support your event as well. Photography and videography, whatever you need, reach out to us and see what we could do to help make your event even a little bit more popping. And, with that being said, that's all from me. Y'all heard enough from me. I'm going to shut up my mouth, and I'm going to go ahead and bring up tonight's guest. And we're going to bring up Miss Cynthia Yanacone. She is one of my friends. She is one of our community pillars. She is about the people when it comes to this Black and brown representation. This face, you guys are going to say she's about her Latin community, her Black community. She supports everybody. We support her. They have been coming on, her and Sean, for the last 2 years since we kicked off both sides of the conversation, bringing them gems, giving our community game, how to invest, how to build up a financial future that is beneficial to our community families. And again, we be doing that work. So again, welcome to both sides of the conversation, Cynthia. And then at the end, you all will bring Tony up to ask questions as she's sitting in the back helping support today's segment. Cynthia, welcome back to both sides of the conversation.
Thank you, John. I'm just a pleasure to be back and look forward to my presentation. And thank you. I really appreciate you also announcing always those community events, being able to see you in some of them when I can catch up with you. So thanks, John. So today I'm going to be talking about children's life plans. And I have Tony who's going to help me as well. And yes, we've been on for the last 2 years. And unfortunately, Sean had some personal family things to take care of. And, we work together. So we don't panic, we pivot. And just let me know. And I'm going to be sharing the presentation today about children's family plan. And, just a little bit about me. Like John said, I've been in the community for a long time. Born and raised in the Mission, but been out here in the Bayview now for 18 years. It's so crazy how time flies. And yeah, so I look forward to sharing what I'm going to share today. I just wanted to share some brief information as well, since what I'm going to be teaching about, but it all stems from like the financial literacy or the lack of financial literacy that we were not given, right, or we weren't exposed to most of the time. Most of the time the money and the way things were talked about at home hasn't always been the way we learn stuff, right? But there's always ways to make better choices. And so just the reality, just like with the pandemic and everything that's going on, right? There's a lot of things. So at this point, 78% of the US workers are living paycheck to paycheck. So that's something that's really important, to put out there. And me, I identify as a financial wellness coach slash educator slash agent. And, I'm here to help. And I work with other financial professionals now that I'm doing what I do. I'm connected to like real estate and people who are doing other financial supports with people. And basically we provide financial education and leadership development to help bring awareness, encourage individuals to take action for their financial future. And we've been able to help some nonprofits, and that's been great, and we will continue to do that as well, and especially for our youth, so that they get the information they need, so that when they grow up, right, they will make different decisions about how to invest and where to invest their monies. And so basically we work with everybody, but individuals who lack financial literacy and have a challenging emotional relationship with money that may be keeping them from managing their finances. I help individuals create their goals to reach their dreams while they develop healthy money habits that will last a lifetime. As a Peruvian bilingual mother and Latina woman in the financial field, I want to create the trust and connection needed in changing the face of the financial industry. So I have over 20 years experience in the community. I started working when I was 14. So just imagine that. And it's been great. I got my bachelor's in psychology and La Raza studies at San Francisco State, and I have a master's in social work as well. So with that said, I kind of want to start the presentation.
Shout out to those Gators out there.
Yeah, my son's a Gator. My daughter's going to be CSUN.
All right, I got your presentation up for you.
Okay, great. And so Tony's coming up. Awesome. Thank you, Tony.
Got your back. I got your back.
Okay, great. So basically that's my information. You can screenshot that if you're watching it on your phone. And that's my brother, my business partner. He's amazing. Sean, very, very helpful. He helped my son as well to start his retirement and his life insurance. So it's been a great thing. So if you want to go to the next slide. So the Yanacone Legacy, my inspiration to help others, children's life plan. I have my dad right there in the forefront because he's been my inspiration. When he passed away in 2018, realized that he didn't have any life insurance. He didn't have a living trust in place. And my mom lost his pension plan after he worked, what he would say, 46 stinky years at Kaiser. And he was a hardworking man. And, my mom also in the 2008 lost her 401k. So, there's just life, life experiences. And from my dad, here he is with the picture with his money. And, he wanted to have these conversations with me about money, but I don't know what it was. Like, I just felt bad about talking about money because he would always say, Cinti, I know you make more money than me because you got a college education. And it was what it was, and it is what it is. But I now that I know what I know, I used to tell him money didn't matter and then it was okay. And now I understand like what he was really trying to find out, or what he wanted me to understand, is that money does matter. It's not the end all do all. Money is a tool. And how do we use it? How do we know how to use it? It really is important for our future. And, since this all has happened, I realized, because I sat down with my cousin, Sandy, and so I realized that I wasn't fully protected And God forbid, like I said, I live out here in the Bayview and have been out here for 18 years. And because we have a home that I just bought out through the city recently, especially for my children, because there was these restrictions on it. So, there's things that during times and back then I didn't know what I know now and what I needed to do. And I've also done my living trust as well. And that's how I found out a lot of things as well. So sometimes, life changing experiences make for life changing decisions. And that's when I decided that I wanted to learn more of this, but I wanted to help others because as I continued to share my story, I kept hearing stories. And it's just unfortunate, like so many things, like other families that have lost their parents' pension plans, their spouses, and it's those little what they say in the little lines, right? When they write things or the little policies that say they couldn't add the spouse in to X amount of years, or they entice them by having more money. And then, because that's when you want more money during retirement. So, my dad has been such a big inspiration for me and, obviously my kids as well. So we can change to the next slide. This is Sean, and I know his story also well too a bit. Maybe not say it as good as he does, but his grandfather was able to. That home in the back is in Lake Tahoe. Was able to help their family keep it for generations through Living Trust. And during the pandemic, he got to hang out there with his family, and then his partner. And what's so exciting is that he has now his own child, and I'm sure he's going to be almost one by now. It's like crazy how time flies. But Sean has been an inspiration and doing so much to help the community as well. Okay. You can change. So, my vision is to break the cycle of poverty and create generational wealth for the Black and Brown communities. And these, like I have 3 children, but these are my 2 grandbabies. I'm a grandma, I'm a fabuela, and they call me Mama Cynthia. So, what I wouldn't do for them, I started with them as soon as I found out about, doing strategies and helping save money for their future, for plan. I talked to my daughter who also does what I do, Stephanie, and we were able to start things for him, but for my kids as well. So like my son, like I just mentioned earlier, Sean helped him understand, like, and still there's some learning and growing to do about it, but at least he started his own retirement, like his own maybe possible retirement. And that's been amazing, and even life insurance, because, people don't know what they don't know. And God forbid, now that I do know, I hear the stories, and it's with living benefits. So should anything happen, God forbid, right? An accident, a critically or chronically or terminally illness, right? Which obviously none of us want for our family members, there would be a way he would be able to pull out money just as I would, as I have the same thing. And like I said, I just, now that I do what I do, I think it's so important to understand about life insurance and, how that would help families, move, help them go grieve with everything that they have to deal with and stuff. So it's unfortunate, but none of us gets out of here alive. That's obvious. So we need to plan and prepare, and especially for our kids. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm always telling them, just kind of what I want, and where things are, and so that they know. And this is why children need to be involved in the process. And like having a safe, where do you have it, which child will be responsible for it. My last child is going to be 18 next month, so, and she's also really interested in learning more about what I do, although she'll be going to CSUN, Cal State University Northridge. I'm excited. And my son just finished his first year at San Francisco State University, which I'm really proud of him, because the first year is always, I don't want to say the worst year, but the challenging year, because you're transitioning. So, with that said, I'm really proud of him. And like I said, these are my 2 grandbabies. My Emmy, he's 8, and Elias just turned 2 in March. So they're going and growing. And every month I commit to giving them, money to my daughter, so that they will have a better child family life plan, where they will be able to use this money for their future. And it could be for education, it could be for maybe a house, it could be maybe for a business that they might want to start, a car or whatnot. So I'm really proud and happy that I've been able to do this and teach my daughter so she understands the value in this. Because I wasn't, and I don't think, I don't want to say born with a silver spoon. And, a lot of these things I've had to learn. And yeah, so we can go to the next slide. So the concern, our children's future, like I mentioned, because there's a lack of financial literacy in the education system, and even within our families, I just think it's so important. And if our kids are looking at us, right, we're the models for them, and they need to know. So it's a big concern when we don't have the information, the education, and really lack those skills to know what is going to be the best way to invest your money. And of course there's other ways, like in real estate and maybe some stock stuff, but really understanding what it all means is what matters. And that's why I think it's really important, especially now with the pandemic and all the stuff that's happening, and people are in panic mode. I mean, like John said it earlier, the gases are outrageous, and that's just a gas. And then I've also heard a lot of retirement people have lost money in their retirement. And for the people that are maybe needing to retire next year, that's going to be a big impact on them. So preparing our children is the best thing that we could do. And I think that's what matters most, and that's why I do what I do, because I really want to help our future generation along with our current generation too. Sometimes people get stuck in their ways, but we just got to be real, if we someday want to retire. So you can change the slide. And so what would the Rockefellers do? You seen that was there between when I had that with my grandkids. Going more into it, it's really important. This book, I'm really big on books, and educate. Those secrets are kept in books. And what would the Rockefellers do? It's one of the books that we still need to read within my family. I've read the book already, but it's something that really important to understand if you want to have generational wealth for your family. It because the Rockefellers, that's why I say, what would the Rockefellers do, right? I'm sure it's neither good nor bad in a sense, but they've been able to sustain generational wealth for a long period of time. And, unfortunately, other families haven't. But, so in this book, there's a lot of tips. There's a lot of things to do differently, creating your own family banks, creating your own family office, so that people know what to expect with what. Because I think what happens is when kids inherit money, which is why I'm telling my children a lot too, like, I want you to learn, like, it's not just inherit money and not know what to do with it. You have to know where it needs to go, and make better investments as well. So I think, that's why it's really important to encourage our children to read, to learn, because there's a lot of information out there. Like, now that we realize, Google's out there, this, everybody Googles everything, including myself sometimes. But just really be able to have these conversations with our families to get us to the next level while getting them as well. So, okay, next. So, family wealth, passing on more than money. So this is he was the richest man in America in the 19th century, with money that with more money than the U.S. Treasury. Imagine that, right? He gave enough money to start a major university that still bears his name on to this day. So that's another thing that I feel, the more you have, the more you can give as well. I think that's something I really want to do and strive for. But within a few generations after his death in 1877, this is Vanderbilt. Cornelius Vanderbilt portion was all gone, depleted by heirs that knew how to spend lavishly, but did little to maintain, much less grow the family wealth, right? So how different the experience of another well-known wealthy family of the same era. 7 generations, and 80 years after his death, the family of the John D. Rockefeller. I remember when I first read this in the book, I'm not going to lie, my dad, his name is John. So I was like, oh my God, John. I love my daddy. And the founder of Standard Oil and America's first billionaire overseas and enjoys a fortune that continues to rank as one of the largest in the world. So, again, the educational piece is so important, taking action, making different decisions than maybe our parents did, our generations in the past. I think that's important. It's interesting. I feel like my own experience as I'm growing as an entrepreneur as well. It's interesting because my mom's dad, Papito in Peru used to have a market. And so it's like, well, maybe that's where a little bit businessy stuff is coming from. But nevertheless, I'm really excited to be here and share this information with you. Next slide. So I was talking a little bit about the trust and the family bank contingency plan. So my mom didn't have the trust in place. So I definitely helped my mom do that. And, that's all that matters. It's done. And still generations are different. So we're still listening, waiting for my mom to share a little bit what's on the trust. But I also I encouraged my sister to do it, and of course myself and other people. Actually, I've been able to help get their living trust, and it's very reasonable and it's a very easy process if you're open to learning. And having a trust is really important, especially obviously if you have assets, but if you have children, it's really important to have, because God forbid anything happen to your child and there's nothing in place, you might want to make sure the relative you want them to be with has them, and or the friend, the close family friend. But it's really something to think about, because things happen, and it's just best to plan. So with that said, it's really important to have, it in place. And that's where, you will, like, I put my family bank under that, my house. And, I feel really blessed to have that now under us. And, it's just been a blessing. And I feel so thankful and grateful for it. So, creating that, making sure that my kids, get to go to school and, do what they need to do, but also have what they need to have to be successful. And, talking about what it means to be a beneficiary. Even my oldest daughter, Stephanie, luckily she's like older, and she's able to kind of be in charge if anything were to happen. And then now my son is 19, and then now my daughter's 18. They'll all be more active in my living trust. So those are just new things and good things to know. And realizing who's on there and who you want to have on there, to make sure what you want after you are gone lives on. So, okay, you can change that slide. So knowing your options, right? So of course we've talked about this before, like income protection, retirement options, but today we're focusing on children's future. And when thinking of our children's future, we need to think past college and setting up a life plan. And how would you feel when you put your child in a position to buy a house in their 20s? I mean, it just would be really a blessing and exciting to do. One of the things I want to also mention is that wealthy people tend to put strategies on their children right when they get a Social Security, right when they're able to, because they see and understand the value of starting to invest in their child early on. And starting at such a young age doesn't mean that you have to put as much as you would starting older. I had these plans for my children older, but nevertheless I have them. And I feel like what's helped me feel more confident, especially with my youngest going to college and like having less time to prepare, and not because of things are the way they are, and being limited on the financial aid or the scholarships, and not having that as one of one of the options. I've told my daughter it's okay, like, I don't want to get the school loans, but what I'm going to do these next years is be able to like really put into the strategies that I do have for her, and we'll be able to pay that out right when she graduates, because I've strategized about it. So I think that goes back to the whole planning, strategy, and goal setting, so that you can get to where you need to go and in time. So I think with all that, it's the best thing you can do for yourself. It brings me honestly um, a peace of mind, right? And so I think that's what people also want to feel like, okay, I can do that, trust, and know that things are going to work for the best, for my daughter and for my whole family. So, okay, next slide. So, and then, it's important just to compare like the three different ways to save money for children, and looking at, the growth potential, right? If you put it in a whole traditional bank, I think we all know that banks give like 0.03%. If anything, it's really ridiculous. So there's really no growth potential there, no invest. And then going down then, right? Is there no investment risk? Yeah, I mean, you won't, it's not too risky to put your money in there. Is there no contribution limits? Yes. So, tax free? No. No financial aid impact? No. And access money for anything? Yes. The bank allows you to access money. And legacy? No. And the 529, well, yes, there's some growth potential. Is there no investment risk? No. Is there no contribution? No. So is it tax free? Yes. It depends, right? And then with the again, with the no financial aid impact, no access money for anything, legacy, that's all no. So like, I don't know if like if you do have a college 529 and you do get a scholarship, they will take that out of your 529. So it's like you saved all this money for someone to give you a scholarship that they're going to deduct from your 529 anyways. It's interesting, but those are things that do happen. And when you create a child's life plan, there's the growth potential. There's no investment risk. There's no contribution limits. It's tax free. No financial aid impact. You access money for anything besides the schooling, and that's where you also be able to leave a legacy. So these are why there's the difference comparing them all. So like, again, like nothing is neither all good nor bad. It's just understanding how they all work. Next slide. And so I know that, in order to know, like we play a game, in order to win, we have to know the rules. And whether it's a sports, whether it's a board game, and most of the time people don't know the three rules of money. And this is why it's just really important to understand that, right? So compounding interest is the first rule. How do you understand that could work for you? It could work against you. And it works against you if you have credit card or debt. And it works for you if you understand, like, the rule of 72 is not something I made up. It's something Albert Einstein created. And so you would divide the percentage into the amount of money that you're going to be putting in. And we're being generous for the first one, putting 1%. But this is how long it'll take your money to double and how much, right? So looking at that, 1%, 72 years, age 29, by the time someone's 101, they will have 20,000, 20,000, and then like the 4%, they're 18 years, and then there's the 6% going. So sorry about that. And so 6%, 12 years, and 12%, 6 years, your money will start doubling. So you can see just the difference of how money compounding interest is important to know. And it's in different phases: the accumulation, the protection, and distribution. So the second rule is how money grows. And there's only three ways how money grows, right? It's fixed, it's variable, and it's index. Index is like a hybrid of both. And variable is like up and down, right? Unpredictable, like gambling, like a heart attack, like, like I mentioned, for people who lost some of that retirement right now and planning to retire next year. it's stressful. I can just so imagine. And the index is protected, and so that where you when the market drops, it stays at zero. And so it's really interesting, like to understand and see how that is shown as well, to how to protect your money. So then the other one is during the distribution phase, and we all have that Uncle Sam. So it relates to that. The last rule is how your money gets taxed. So tax now, giving savings account, CDs, mutual funds. Then it's tax later, and this is the one that people really need to look into as well and think about it. But like the 401k, 403, 457, IRAs, fixed annuity, savings bond, especially with the 401ks, a lot of people. And I was just talking to this wonderful lady this weekend, and young lady, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I signed up, and I have no idea what I signed up for and how it works." And I said, "Oh, I can imagine, And so it's like understanding that even in a book, The Wealthy Physician, Robert Kiyosaki says people who plan on retiring poor invest in the 401k. And before, back in the days, like my dad days, I always want to say, there was pensions when companies offered pension plans, which most companies don't offer anymore. So you'd be lucky if your company offers you a pension plan, your 401k, and then your Social Security. And so that's a whole nother thing. So it was three buckets. And now we, as newer generations, have to start creating that for ourselves, because we don't know how dependable Social Security is going to be. And your 401k is deferred. So the other thing that people need to understand is whether taxes you think are going to be lower or higher in the future. And of course, like, especially with this whole thing that's going on with the pandemic and everything like that, yes, it's going to get higher. They're going to need to pay our countries in crazy debt. But and then that's when you're going to pay taxes on a bigger amount. So that's what people need to understand. Might be they're thinking their 200,000 401k may end up being less than that, obviously, because of the taxes that need to be taken out, penalties and stuff like that. So that's why it's really important to understand these things, and for our children's future plan, so they can understand and start thinking like they need to invest and create their own retirements. It's just going to be that way. Then the tax advantaged, right? So this one is the Roth IRAs, the executive bonus plans, and the cash accumulation in an insurance policy, the IUL. And so these things are what you want to have. My Roth IRA, I have, the cash accumulation, and these things need to be set up properly, I think, and that's what makes it really important when we work with our families and our friends and our people who are interested in learning more, the community. It's breaking that down to them, to have them understand, and what is going to be in their best interest, and understanding this. So I think that's what matters most. And so it's really important to talk to someone who's licensed. I'm licensed, Sean's licensed, so that we do not want to, we want to keep our licenses, and we want to help people. And so that's why we, with integrity, always want to make sure we give all the education and information necessary, so that people make an informed choice and understand how it all works. So, and especially for our children to understand that, like I said, Sean helped my son, but it was a process. We had a few meetings, help him understand little by little. And one of the biggest things that I've understand too is, like, we change, whether we like it or not, life changes, and we need to reassess where we were. And like for myself too, I'm in a space and place after I bought up my house that I'm reassessing my personal financial review, getting my own financial needs analysis done. So it's just important. It's on a continuum, and it's not like the end, the end. Like, you learned on a continuum about financial education, financial literacy, so that you know what to do with the money you have, the money that comes in. And of course, it also, what's important, you can go to the next slide, is savings, right? And so in order to understand savings, you got to see what is in your short term and what is in your long term, right? And really understand, what does that mean? What is those goals and dreams? And that's what we go through with people. Like, what is your short, term goals and dreams and your long-term goals. So you can really think about it. What do you want? Like, and so it's like when you do your children's life plan, what do you want for your kids short term? Do you want to get them a laptop? I'm not sure, I'm just thinking, or, something that's going to be educational for them. What is that? What does that look like? Your long term. Yeah, maybe you want them to go to university. Maybe you want them to do something more, So what would that look like? Maybe it's traveling too, because I want to travel myself too, more than I already do. So I think it's just like really important to just look at the things that you want to do for yourself, but then also for your children, so that you can start teaching them, like, okay, if they want something, then they can start planning as well. And what does it look like to save for that, for whatever that they're wanting. So goals and dreams are key. Okay, next. And so it's important to have a budget, right? In the blue one behind there, it says spend, and the other one says save. And it's important because we create habits in our life. And, we create savings habits and we create spending habits. And some of them, could be like no savings, right? Or whatnot. But we kind of want to start creating those saving habits to be a little bit more effective for ourselves. And the spending, right? Being really mindful when you go to a store. Like, this is like knowing how much you're going to spend, knowing why you're going to the store. Write a list. These are just little tips that you can do for yourself, or even do that whole envelope thing about money and putting like the cap on how much you're going to spend for your food, for clothing, or whatever that you're going, entertainment that you're going to do, to kind of help be more mindful about where your money going. And the saving thing as well, like, that's what I'm saying, when important is to start with your children, helping them learn how to save. And I just learned through my all kids, they all just have different saving habits, which is good, at the end of the day, because some need to learn a little bit more about saving than others. And it's on, and for myself too, like, we're just always going and growing with that. And even with saving, I feel my first experience, or one of my first experiences, like saving for my daughter when she was in high school. I was part of this earn program, and we got, I think for every dollar I put, I got $2 or something like that. And at the end, I was able to buy her first laptop, her first copier, offer her the success in high school, right? Wanted her to be successful in high school so she could be successful in college. So, those are just different things that, I've done, maybe you're interested in doing. And like this one also has these money jars as well, like the house, the car, the education, the travel. So whatever works for you, if you need that visual to see the money you're putting there. And there's also little spreadsheets that sometimes if you want to save like $10,000, $500, or just, there's ways to go around it to make it creative. So that's really important as well. So yeah, you can go to the next slide, which pretty much concludes my presentation tonight. And so again, thank you giving Sean his information, is my information. I just want you to know that we're here for you. And we understand that sometimes it's difficult to like talk about things, especially of the beliefs that we carry around money. And just to talk a little bit about that, like my dad used to say that a lot to me: money didn't grow on trees. And I know he didn't mean it in a bad way, but it did make a lot of fear around money for me, like there's never enough. And or the little fights that I heard between my mom and him about money, because my mom was like the spender and he was trying to be the saver. And these things, and we grow up with that, and how that carries in us, and how that influences the decisions we make. But the awareness to take different actions and different steps towards things is more empowering. So I feel like, take that for what it is, like reflect about that for yourself. What does that mean? What am I teaching my kids? How can I be more comfortable about talking about money? And so my kids are comfortable talking about money. I just think those things are important. Because I remember my mom right now is coming to me and they said money was dirty too. And I was like, oh, so it's like this whole other thing, like, okay, so money's dirty. There's just beliefs that sometimes we carry that we don't even realize that we carry. But it's time to break them. It's time to let them go and, shift our mindset to something different, to take us to our next level, really where we want to go. And especially share it with our friends and family. And and our children. And that's why, it's so important to do this presentation today, to kind of talk about the options that are out there. So please call me at 415-286-0616, or reach out to Sean, 650-201-3423. Our emails are there as well. you know so that concludes our presentation. Thanks again, John, for having us here, well, having me here today, and always giving me that trust and support and confidence in doing what needs to be done to get our community empowered and understanding these certain things are so important.
Thank you, Cynthia. I'm sure Sean will be happy because you held it down, as you always do. It was a couple of things that you said, and you was like, people have fear about talking about money. And it struck a nerve for me because especially like in times right now, like nobody got no money. Nobody got no money. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like when I hear you say you talking about investing and you talking about the future and you talking about saving for kids, it scares the living crap out of me because I'm
Yeah.
already trying to figure out how to juggle day to day, week to week, month to month. So what do you say to people like me that feel this way? I know it's fear, but it's just like the ideal of putting money here and putting money here and day to day and doing this and doing that. Like, how do you get a person from the thought process of feeling like I don't even know where to begin to start saving or investing?
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. And thank you for helping me with the slides too. I just think thank you for sharing that, because I think once you're aware, then you're willing to talk about it and figure out things that may work. And you don't have to start like do something that's going to be out of your own comfort zone. I mean, and it's real. Like I said, that 78% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. That's real. Like, but what are what can you do a little different that might help it, ease it? I'm not sure. Like, of course, like the little tips of like not eating out and, not buying Starbucks. And, there's little ways to kind of, and you'll be surprised how you cut money out. Like, at the end of the day, but and then where you can save here instead of there. But I think it's like just that's why the budgeting part I think is so important, to like look at how much money's coming in, where money going out, and just being more mindful of it. And so you could be more at ease. It's all about planning too, that's what I'm saying, or goals and dreams and setting that up.
Now
But
you also talked about like this whole trust situation, right? And it got me thinking too, like, what do people do if they feel like they don't have anything to leave back for their children or their grandchildren and things like that? How do you know if you really have assets and what exactly is assets? And that might sound like the same exact question.
yeah, well, the trust, well, if you have children, you really kind of want to have a trust, because that's where you want to, like, if something were to happen to you, where do you want, whether you can leave them anything or not, you really want to know where they're going to go, right? But your assets can be like, well, your home, that can is an asset, obviously. And then like whatever accounts that you may have, like people don't realize like your bank accounts, or, the life insurance, or the 401k or the 403b that you have, that's part of whatever you've been building. So those are kind of things that you can put there. But there's other things that can be heirlooms that from your family that are really important and you want it to be passed down. So I think it does it varies, from family to family, about what you think is valuable to you and what you want to share with your family.
So it sounds like what I'm hearing is that, like, because once again, we have a lot of people that don't own their homes to these days.
Yeah.
We got a
Yeah.
lot of people that work for companies that don't have 401ks. But something interesting that you said a while ago, you was like your bank accounts and things like that. So for someone that don't have assets such as a 401k or a property or something like that, even just having something in place, just saying that like when I die, I want you to take over my this that. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, because even within, well, you want also want to do advanced directives, and that's in the living trust, but you don't have to have a living trust for advanced directives. Just to be clear on that, like that's really done a lot through like the doctors and stuff. Like because if something were to ever happen to you, whether an accident, what do you want? Like, do you want to still live on a life support? So those kind of things also need to be like talked about and addressed. Yeah. So,
Thank you, Cynthia.
and you're welcome, Tony.
So I want to say, and I apologize, I'm like in 3 or 4 meetings. That's how it is. So first of all, I just want to
Okay.
say thank you, Tony, for always stepping up and making sure things are happening. You know, I'm all over the place, but wanted to say, in that presentation, talking about being intentional, putting up to our kids, through college. When do a person start putting this money up, right? Do we do it when the kids are first born, or do we start putting up money when we in the labor stage, or in the pregnant stage, or do we as a family start planning when we start thinking about having children?
No, I think it should start when they're born. Like, I wish I was told that right when my child was born to do something like this. Now that's why I started with my grandbabies. And I started with my grandbaby was, I guess he was like 3, almost. Like, my dad's gonna be passed away already 4 years next month, July 12th. It's like, God, time flies, but he's still such an inspiration to me. So maybe it was around 4 years old when I started. But with my other grandbaby, I started right away with him. So, just to make sure that we're doing, what needs to be done. And they are set up in a way depending on what you can afford. So there's a range for it too. Like, it's not like this whole big chunk you have to put. Like, if you could put 100 a month, the child's young still. So, but there's maybe months that maybe you want to put more. So then you can, like, there's a range of how much you can put in and you want to put in.
Now, one of the questions I wanted to ask you, because I know you did talk about the 529 accounts, and then you talked about the global life. Was that the other one? The
The life plan, which is the child life plan, and that's usually done. The strategy is done behind an IUL properly set up and stuff. Then when you can put your money in that.
Right. So my question is, so the 529s, they are now allowing people to utilize those funds to pay for their kids to go to trade schools, art schools, beautician schools, and things of that nature, and pay for room and board as well. Does that plan, the global life, does that cover the same stuff, or is it totally different?
No, it would cover the same thing. It would cover that or anything else, the child's life plan. So it
Okay.
would, like, if you wanted to put down on a house for them, if that money, if you started when you're saving it, or do you want to have them help them start a new business, so that would be what you would do to kind of get them. It's a life plan, so they'd be able to take it out for that.
Well, that's
As
pretty
well.
cool. Very powerful stuff. Community that's watching, this is why we have these conversations, to really educate our community about finances. How do we build economical power in our community? How do we build that financial legacy that we leave to our community? It starts with our kids, the future. And it's not just about leaving them the money part, right? But it's also giving them the awareness, the education, the tools that are needed so that they can pass it down to their kids, right? Because we know misinformation, lack of education, and this type of financial awareness is why sometimes the Black and brown community is a little bit behind when it comes into investing in our young folks, investing in our families, making sure that we have the right insurance coverages, making sure that we have the right financial places to put our funding, to make sure that we maximizing our dollars, especially in these times that we are in as families, mothers and fathers. We have to sit down with our young folks and really explain to them the financial burden that a lot of families are being in place right now with the super increase of inflation, the loss of the GDP, the growth in this country is just not there. The dollar is weak. The stock market is crashing, right? And having people like Cynthia come on and talk about different ways that you can maneuver your funds, make sure that your young folks have the things that they need, as well as continue to maintain a household day to day. It is very tough. I'm not going to say it's easy. I know it's somebody out there saying, well, John, how do I save money right now? Gas is $7.19 a gallon. My mortgage is going up. The cost of insurance is going up. Bridge toll is going up. Driving on the freeway now. It's so many highways across this Bay Area where they actually charge you to get in these lanes. So again, there are ways that we can do it, but we have to figure out a way that we as community take these educational sessions, take the number of Cynthia, reach out to her. We cannot be embarrassed. We cannot be shamed. Cynthia and them,
Mhm.
they provide a phenomenal portfolio of financial wealth and literacy information. We need you to connect with them, reach out, let them do an overview, let them help you get through these times. It is very important in life. We all need mentors. We all need coaches. We all need a second eye on the things that we are doing to thrive. So don't be embarrassed. Reach out to her. She's from the community, 20 years of service, plus working with our community. She's been there. Her story is phenomenal. She's a Gator. Okay, I trust Gators. For whatever reason, all my SF Gators, I just love them. They so brilliant, talented, and they very compassionate about the community. And that's what I like about all my Gators. They always have humility and compassion for the community, and they're always willing to give back. I think that's what we have to drive in our communities, in our country, okay, to make sure that whatever we do as we climb that financial ladder, the educational ladder, that we reach back and help produce the next generation of community leaders and folks to make sure that they get out of those sticky situations they're in. Cynthia has been committed to doing that. And, we appreciate you for the work that you continue to do for our community, advocate for financial literacy. We're going to continue to do our part to make sure as we connect with the different organizations and event that we make sure you all are part of it. We got a couple more financial literacy workshops coming up to make sure that our young folks, make sure our elders, make sure our middle-aged folks get this information. Sometimes in the Black and brown community, for whatever reason, when we talk about financial literacy, it's like mental health. People don't want to talk about it. It's like a bad taste in people's mouth. But again, given the times that we are in right now, it is very crucial for our community to take heed to this information, really have some folks who study the market, understand what's going on so that we can make sure that our community thrive financially, okay? So community, another great presentation here tonight. Again, I want to thank you, Cynthia, for coming on. And I know Sean's busy. Shout out to Sean. He's a grinder. He's about the community. I know if it wasn't something important, he would be here tonight. So we'll catch him on the next one. We know we'll see you all here as we're trying to make sure Cynthia and other folks come back so that we have these type of literacy programs going on monthly, where it's at least one show talking about finances, one show talking about health. Sometimes it's a challenge, but they have been committed to making sure that our community gets this information. So we acknowledge that, and we appreciate you all for your consistency and your commitment to making sure that our community is educated with the right financial literacy information. So thank you again. And then Miss Tony, phenomenal, you all. And I've been getting the text messages, okay? I've been getting the email. Miss Tony was out in the community for the Juneteenth, supporting the community, and everybody's reaching out. I've been sending them to your IG. How do we get a hold of Miss Tony? So Miss Tony, put your IG up there so that these folks know how to get a hold of you, because they keep asking me, how do I connect with her? I've been giving them your IG, but since you're here tonight and folks get to see you, make sure you put your IG up so folks can reach out to you and connect. Again, Tony is a phenomenal model, mother. She's committed to our community. She has a powerful, powerful story. And again, community, you all will be seeing more of Tony and some of our other co-hosts for some of the phenomenal conversations that we're going to be talking about. And I know if another lady emailed me and asked me, when are we having a relationship conversation, I'm going to go off. It's coming. I got to give Tony them. It's been a busy month for both sides of the conversation, but we hope to start planning that soon. But I'm getting a flood of text messages. They are ready to have this conversation. I thought it was hot girl summer. I was trying to wait till the winter, but all these girls are calling. They want to have this conversation. So we will get our relationship conversation out there. We will be having our youth come back on. I did receive some emails from some of the community folks about our youth conversation. We will be getting our youth back on. And I think they also pledged twice to have shows twice a month. They got some stuff that they want to talk about. A lot of them are headed to college, already in college. So we have to make sure that we give them space so that they can talk about the things that they need to talk about and get off their chest. So we excited about that. But again, community, the controversial topics are coming. I see y'all reaching out. They coming. We're going to have Tony. We're going to have some of the other ladies from both sides of the conversation. Y'all can have y'all rain day parade. Again, I'm going to hold my ground, and I'm going to stand up. And, we'll have both sides of the conversation on our relationship conversation. So I'm looking forward to it. But again, Tony, if there's anything you want to say before we close out tonight, Cynthia, if there's anything you want to say, please do it now before we close out tonight's segment.
I just want to say thank you so much for having me, and also thinking about it too, like happy Pride. And I'm really proud of my daughter, Sarai, for graduating.
Yes,
Shouts out
thank
to
you.
her.
Shouts out to her. Shouts out to the class of 22. And yes, this weekend is Pride weekend. A lot of phenomenal events are going to be taking place. Much respect to our Pride community. And again, it's going to be events, parades, different things happening all weekend. People are packing into the city. The freeways, the hotels are getting booked up. People all across the country are headed to San Francisco this weekend. I hope everybody has fun. Be safe out there. As you know, there we do have ill will people in our community that will also be out. So be mindful, be safe, community. And again, have a blessed weekend. And we'll be seeing you all soon. This Sunday, we will not have a Sunday conversation, but we will be getting ready for our next Hidden Gem segment, as well as our next Educational Thursday. Again, we got our young folks coming on. So community, I need y'all to start stepping up into next month as we bring these high school, college graduates onto our platform. I want community to show up and give these young folks some love, listen to their stories, some of the obstacles that they had to go through to actually get to this point of graduation. A lot of them graduated on the honor roll. A lot of them are going to college on full ride scholarships. So again, we're going to continue to highlight the excellence of our community, of our young folks. So please tune in. You'll see the flyers coming out, but I need the community to come on and celebrate these young folks for the amazing achievements that they have endured over the year to get to the point of completing their term, whether it was high school, college, or middle school. And our elementary school, we're not going to forget them, but we're going to shout them out as too. So again, love you all. Be safe out there. Our next live stream will be on Tuesday for our Hidden Gem segment. And again, I'm trying to find out who's going to take over for that show, because we will be out in community at an event. So either we'll be live out there or we'll be getting somebody from our team to come on. So hopefully everybody be patient. But me and Tony will be out at an event. And again, if not, we're going to have to reschedule, but we'll try to be live. We'll get somebody from the team to hold it down for us for our Hidden Gem segment next week. But after that, a lot of our events are slowing down, so we'll be out in the community, but we will be picking up our live shows for our Sundays and our Tuesdays and Thursdays. So looking forward to seeing you all. Be safe out there. Happy Pride weekend. Everybody keep your head up. Be safe. And remember, protect your dollars. Listen to Miss Cynthia. If you haven't started investing in your youth future, start putting up that money now. Make the investments. Hold on to your cash, okay? The cost of gas is rising. The cost of milk and all of the normal items that we are using daily are going up. So be very mindful of your spending, but make sure you invest. With that being said, thank you, Tony. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you to our Both Sides of the Conversation team. Thank you to all the
Thank
community
you.
folks who support us and continue to uplift us. This stuff cannot happen without the powerful folks that we have, like Tony and the rest of the folks behind the scenes that are doing amazing work for our community. So thank you all. Continue to support us. All power to the people. Protect Black women at all costs. You guys see it. We have to show love to our sisters and to the queens out there. Again, love y'all. See y'all next Tuesday. Have a great evening, everybody.